Thank you all for tuning in to Let's Address This with Qasim Rashid. I am excited about our guest today. She is running for Insurance Commissioner of California, Jane Kim. And, my commitment to y'all has been to continue to elevate the right candidates, the progressive candidates who are going to fight back against this corporate extremism, corporate corruption, and do things the right way. I'm willing to bet most of y'all don't know what an insurance commissioner does because I didn't until not too long ago. And I'm not projecting myself, but I do want to have her on because she's running a great campaign, is right on the values, and I'm excited to talk to her. Jane, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, two questions to start it out. The first, very simple one that I'm going to ask a little bit out of order, and then the second question is going to be about you and your superhero origin story. But let's start with kind of a more even basic question: that what does an insurance commissioner of California do?
Yeah, it's one of the most important offices that you have never heard of. And it's a very under the radar, under leveraged office. It's one of 11 elected insurance commissioners in the country, and they oversee a $3.3 trillion industry. Um, and by the way, this industry has zero federal oversight.
Okay.
It's regulated by the 50 different states. It ranges from, property and casualty insurance, which most folks know as home insurance, renter's insurance, auto insurance, to life insurance, workers' comp, even bail bond, which is considered a form of insurance. And it regulates this industry. It's the only backstop between everyday consumers and a $1 trillion industry with a lot of power.
And so, what happens when there's corruption in this industry? What does that look like? How would we recognize the corruption
Yeah.
out there in the space?
Yeah, so this office was created in 1988 by the voters of California to be the consumer watchdog, to be the policy leader and consumer watchdog for Californians. So, one of the main and big functions of this office is that they enforce the laws of the state. So, for example, California is only one of three states in the country that has prohibited the use of credit score in calculating your premium. And think about it. I mean, why does your credit score matter in terms of the riskiness of your asset,
Yeah.
right? And if you ever stop paying your insurance, they just stop covering you. It's not like a mortgage.
Right.
So, part of the role of this office is to actually enforce that law, make sure it's happening. The other major function of an insurance company is that when something does bad happen to you, a collision, a fire, an illness, something that we all hope never happens,
Yeah.
that the insurance company actually follows through on their contractual obligations, which in all of our experience we know doesn't happen
Hmm.
or often does not happen. They deny, delay, underpay valid claims, same as the
Oh yeah.
healthcare. And, I've talked to claim adjusters that estimate that anywhere from 1.7 to $3 billion are stolen annually from Californians in valid claims that are denied, delayed, and underpaid.
And I'm
And so
willing to
another
bet.
function of this office is to enforce that contract.
Yeah, and I'm willing to bet it disproportionately hurts people of color, women, low income people, and insurance is one of those things where you have to have, but you hope you never have to use it. It's such a weird dichotomy. We'll come back to that in a second, but let's talk about you. What is your superhero origin story? Where did you decide, like, you know what, the status quo is not working. I need to do something differently, and I'm going to torture myself by running for the statewide office.
um, in terms of how I ended up on this path, it's, honestly, when I was like 13 or 14, I just knew that this is what I was going to do. I mean, not run
Amazing.
for office, but
Yeah,
I
public
just knew
service.
that I
Yeah,
wanted to be
yeah.
in service. And it
Hmm.
sounds cheesy, but it was never, I never looked back. I was just on this pathway. I started out as a youth organizer. I worked with high school students and young Californians. Um, and I was running youth leadership organizing programs around affordable housing, around design, around better school lunches. And San Francisco is actually a much smaller city than people realize. And I just started getting roped into, you know, board of supervisor hearings,
Hmm.
budget conversations,
Yeah.
campaign. And then next thing I know, folks are like, you should run for school board. And I honestly didn't think that hard about it. At the time that I ran, I was the only candidate that actually worked with public school students. The school district is 90% students of color, 70% immigrant, almost 50% Asian American. And the time the board didn't look like that. And so I felt like it was important to run to represent my communities, but also to represent young people
Yeah.
whose voices are really not heard at the school board level.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and I think it's that kind of leadership that we need more of. I think there's so many folks who are running for, hey, I can get, I can trade stocks or I can make money, but there's very few who are running for the right reasons. Chris Rabb, who just won his seat for Congress, well, the primary in Pennsylvania, says, "Look, I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant, and if you don't know the difference between the two, you're a politician, and that's fundamentally the problem here." California is in a really difficult spot right now for a number of reasons related to insurance, and one of them are the California wildfires. I've been out to California. I was out in LA County last year after the LA fires, providing pro bono legal support. And we were working extensively with small business owners and just people in general, where the insurance company was trying to settle for pennies on the dollar. And we had to advise them and guide them on how to make sure they're protecting their interest. Um, what does a role like yours play in ensuring that when these catastrophes strike, which unfortunately they're becoming more common, that consumers are protected and that they're not going to be left out in the cold, literally, that God forbid if their home is damaged by a fire.
So this office investigates all types of complaints. And, you probably read recently that State Farm has been assessed,
Mhm.
a major penalty by the current Department of Insurance for denying and delaying valid claims.
Yep.
And so this office again ensures that consumers are being treated fairly and that also that they're fulfilling their end of the contractual bargain. One of the rules or two rules that I'm proposing is one, I want to freeze your rates and your coverage when you file a claim. You shouldn't have your rates increased or canceled on for using the business you've been paying for,
Yeah.
right? But we all know that we get penalized when we finally use the business we have been paying for. And then
Yeah.
second, I want them to pay you interest every day they deny, delay, or underpay a claim.
Love that.
But I think
Yeah.
something that's really important for folks to understand is how the insurance industry actually works, which is they are not truly in the business of insurance. They are banks. How they make the vast majority of the revenue is that they take our premiums and they invest it in the stock and bond market. So part
Wow.
of the reason why they deny, delay, and underpay is that it is a business strategy. Every day they keep our money in what they call their float is the day that they make money from our money.
That's right.
Right. So that is a business that they're truly in. And the other thing that's ironic about the insurance industry is that they are huge institutional investors in fossil fuel.
Mm.
And they're big underwriters in fossil fuel, the very thing that is driving climate disaster, that is creating bigger storms, bigger wildfires, and then they cancel coverage on the homes destroyed by it.
Hold on a second. I didn't realize this. So these insurance companies that are effectively supposed to be your shield against things like fires caused by climate change are making their money by investing in the climate change causing industries that are burning your home down. They're
That's right.
basically in these insurance companies are not investing in protecting you, they're investing in their own bottom line in the future.
This
Like,
this is the short-sighted nature of capitalism today
yeah,
that is destroying our country.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that they did that. That's horrifying. I mean, is there any litigation around this? Like, how do you fix that? Is there any power that you would have as an insurance commissioner to hold them accountable to say, no, you can't do this anymore? I mean, I don't know what the sovereignty you would have in the spaces, but like, what could you do to help counter that? Because that is absurd.
It's the absurd nature of how people can think about money, which is
Yeah.
so short term. It's like about making the quick dollar for
Yep.
today, and it's not thinking about 5, 10 years from now,
Hmm.
and how that's ultimately gonna destroy our wealth. It's already destroying our wealth,
That's
right? And
right.
we see it
Yeah.
in the destruction of communities and homes. Um, so, I think that we would have to really think creatively about legally what we do, because as you know, there's always these fiduciary duties. It's crazy. We've created laws that force people to invest in the things that provide as much gain as possible in the
Yeah.
short term, even if in the long term it doesn't. But it's interesting in Europe. Many of the insurance and reinsurance companies have exited fossil fuel for the very reasons that we've talked about. They
Yeah.
understand it's actually ultimately destroying their portfolio. Um, and something I've been pushing, and I'm the only candidate pushing for this in this race, is to consider a type of public nonprofit single payer home disaster for all insurance model run by the state of California, where the state wouldn't invest in fossil fuels. So it would claw back a portion of the premiums that we're already spending, that we're already giving to this $1 trillion industry, and
Hmm.
keeping some of that here in California and investing it cleanly.
Yeah.
And the other idea behind the nonprofit model is that when there's excess capital, which there has been, um, you would actually invest it in preventing wildfire.
Hmm.
So insurance industry prices risk, but it doesn't actually address it. In a public nonprofit model, you actually would invest it to prevent it. So, I'll give a few examples. In New Zealand, they have a single payer home disaster for all model.
Oh,
They
okay.
invest in fireproofing and floodproofing. Canada has single payer auto insurance. So they invest in better roads and filling potholes because they know that that'll mean less claims in the
Yeah.
future. Their healthcare invests in bike lanes and shared bikes because they know there'll be less claims in the future. So there's a better incentive in a public nonprofit program that doesn't exist today. And the other thing I should mention, the property and casualty insurance industry is bonkers in terms of how much money it made. In 2024, it made $170 billion profit, not net. Every billionaire invests in it. It is a good investment of their dollars. And imagine if we kept those profits with the people and
Hmm.
invested it back in us and not in shareholders.
I'm fascinated by this. I mean, I think this is where you need a visionary person in this role who will recognize the intersectionality of all these things. I'd be curious to know. I'm just taking these questions off the top of my head now. What role do these insurance premiums have in the skyrocketing home prices in California? And is there anything that
Oh,
could be
yeah.
done to address that issue?
So the reason why I'm so fascinated by this office is that
Yeah.
insurance plays such an interesting intersection in the role of the economy and in capitalism today. So the insurance industry is very profitable, and meanwhile, consumers are very well regulated. We're required to have it to drive to work or to school,
Yeah.
to own a home, to
Yeah.
open a business of any kind.
Yep.
And we have to make it affordable and available. Otherwise, we're shutting everyday people out of our economy. So we have to kind of rethink how insurance is structured. Currently, it's a total failure. The rates are too high, making it expensive to own a home and sell a home.
Hmm.
Um, they're canceling our coverage, and even if we have insurance, they fight our claims every step of the way.
Yep.
So we have to transform the system, and tinkering with it, which is what's happening right now, is not going to fix what I think
No.
is ultimately a systematic failure.
Yeah.
Um, and if that's what you're looking, I'm definitely not your candidate.
No.
We have to completely rethink the system.
Yeah.
But the great thing about it is that there are so many models around the world around how we can do insurance.
I mean, I think, and I love that. I mean, I think what we're looking at right now with the current insurance system is a mandated wealth transfer from working people to the super wealthy.
Yes, that's right.
That's really what it comes down to because
Yes.
working folks aren't the ones investing in insurance stock. We're paying our premiums and hoping and praying that when the time comes, our claims are covered, and that's across the board. I want to talk about the primary itself coming up on June 2nd. We're down to the last week or so, and the old saying goes that you can judge a person by the company they keep. So, can you talk a little bit about how many people are in this primary, and what is the coalition of endorsements and supporters you built to ensure that you well, hopefully get past, the 51%, but at the very minimum, make the runoff.
So there are 11 candidates running for the seat. There are four Democrats, there are five Republicans, and two other independent and peace and freedom. I am the only woman Democrat running in the seat. And I currently I'm the first statewide candidate in California endorsed by my former boss, Senator Bernie Sanders, who I worked for in 2020 as his California political director.
Amazing.
I've also been endorsed by all the largest unions in the state: SEIU California, California teachers, California nurses, United Domestic Workers.
Right.
We're really proud of the endorsements that we have. And I've been endorsed by statewide electeds like Eleni Quinolakis and Malia Cohen. Uh, I am also the only candidate that is being opposed by the monopoly utilities PG&E, SEPRA, and Southern Con Edison. I'm the only candidate that's getting attacked by the very industries that cause the largest wildfires in California history.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks, they've dropped hundreds of $1,000s and as opposing me, saying that I'm not qualified. But I actually think that is the reason that I'm the most qualified candidate in
Right.
this race is that they know that I'm going to hold them accountable, which is why they're spending so much money against me in the final 2 weeks.
I love the argument that these corporations make that, someone's not qualified because they haven't held the seat before, as if we're happy with the way that the system has gone so far. Like it's not like if you're driving into a disaster you get a new driver. Like someone who's literally been causing the accidents is not the person you want to keep driving that car. You have a new person drive who's capable and competent, and I think that's what you bring to the table. What can folks do in addition to going to your website and donating? But what can folks do this final week? We got a couple of hundred people watching to help you get across the finish line and make sure you win this thing.
Yeah. So, one, tell all your friends about this race and to tell them to vote. It's a very down ballot race, but we really think that this under the radar, under leveraged office could be another powerful ally in this movement to fight wealth inequality and to fight climate
Yeah,
uh, justice and catastrophe. And so, I think this office could play a very powerful role in the next 48 years, or it could play no role at all, right? As what we've
yeah,
seen. Um, Also, we're really running on grassroots contributions. We have close to 3,000 um, individual
amazing.
contributions, uh, thousands more than any of my other opponents. But, we're fighting some of the misinformation that's happening through these ads right now. So giving $10, $15 on our website really helps us go a long way. And we stretch every dollar you give us, by the way.
Yeah,
Um, and so those are the 2 ways to really, amplify our campaign and, join our social media, share our videos and our stories. I'm also talking a lot about auto insurance, which impacts a ton of Californians.
yeah,
I want to expand California's only existing low-cost nonprofit auto insurance program.
that's amazing. I will also add that there's been numbers of studies done on this between because you mentioned down ballot between Republican and Democratic voters, and by about a factor of 30%, Democratic voters have a higher degree of attrition than Republican voters. Republican voters are about 30% more likely to vote from the top of the ticket all the way to the bottom, and Democratic voters are more likely to drop off after the first couple. And that hurts us because, especially when you get to a down ballot race, that doesn't mean it's any less important. It's super critical. And when there have been many races where a Democrat is one at the top of the ticket, but then the down ballot person lost simply because people are like, yeah, I got the Democrat. I'm good. I don't need to worry about. But yes, you absolutely do. So to anyone watching, whether you're in California or elsewhere, make sure you vote all the way through. What about volunteering? Are there ways folks can volunteer for your campaign?
Yes, thank you. We are phone banking on Wednesday and Thursday nights. We've also distributed door hangers in cities like San Diego, also Inland Empire, Central Valley. If you go to workingfamilies.org, you can join some of these canvases with our candidates
Amazing.
across the state. And yeah, it's so important to vote up and down the ballot from school board all the way to governors because these individuals um, one of the most important things that they do is they think about how to invest our money back into our communities.
Yeah.
How much to spend for public school teachers, police officers, also where to put them, parks, streets. And we should be the ones running that table. We've been taught for so long that government is the problem when government's actually the prize worth fighting for.
That's right.
I want more people to run for office, and we definitely need to be thinking about who should be representing us at every single level of government and supporting those good corporate-free candidates who have served in our community all the way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say we're a government by and for the people, and then say that the government is evil. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? Like the government is us. It's we. It's not a separate entity. It's who we
Right.
elect,
It's a
and
reflection of us.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
I
And if
mean,
you're gonna
Trump is
sit,
ultimately a reflection of us. He didn't walk into that White House by himself.
yeah,
Um, but also that message that government is a problem is a message that was invested in. The Koch brothers were super worried in the 60s and 70s that they were losing America, that
yeah,
corporate America was losing
yeah,
country. And so they did all this polling. And during that time, the average American said that they trusted government to solve public problems over corporations.
yeah,
And so what they realized was a way to reduce their taxes, to have less regulation, was to get people to not trust government,
right.
right? And who does not trusting government ultimately benefit? It benefits the wealthiest and most powerful economically in our society.
Yep,
So they started to invest in that messaging. Reagan was, I think, the first
yep,
most well spokesperson of that. And as he said, I don't trust government to do these things. And as he kind of seeded that feeling, then people didn't want government to have taxes,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And ultimately that benefited not the individual, but corporations. And then they
hmm,
didn't want government to create laws that were protecting them from polluting the rivers, right?
yep,
Et cetera. And so that messaging is something we really need to fight back against, and we need to claim government.
Well said. I mean, yeah, Reagan's famous line that the nine scariest words in the English language is "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Republicans claim government doesn't work, and then they get elected and prove it. And
Right.
he was a
Right.
living embodiment of that. And so, that's why I tell folks that I Trump to me is Reagan with worse hair. 'Cause everything that Trump, every bigotry that Trump is espousing, you can largely trace back to the Reaganomics or the Reagan philosophy, whether it's white supremacy, whether it's anti-minority. Reagan might have been marginally better on immigrants, but overall, he wasn't a fan of working people. The whole Reaganomics trickle down scam started, the deregulation scam started under him. And so it's exciting, Jane, to see leaders like you to step up, take the mantle, and run. We're at about time. I'll give you the final word to kind of share with folks how to be involved and why we need to make sure you win this election.
Thank you so much. Definitely follow us at Jane Kim on Instagram, Jane Kim California, Facebook, and check out our website. We have a ton of interesting policies on there that we would love for folks to kind of spread and distribute because we can do the system differently. And I think if we're able to rethink insurance, what I'm hoping is that there's a rippling effect, throughout so many of the policies that we care about, whether it is Medicare for all, to just how we invest back in our people and our communities. And so, just really excited to be running for the seat. This is a seat that I want to be in the next 4 years, and really excited to earn the support of everyday Californians.
Well, we're grateful to have had a few minutes with you today, Jane. Make sure you use us to promote. We're at your disposal, and have you come back on here once you win your primary to make sure we can have you win the general election as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in to Let's Address This with Qasim Rashid. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow Jane. Support her at janekim.org. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.